believe that at this point we're reaching the end of my presentation. I would be happy to take questions and have a discussion and just hear what you guys think about this and whether you find it useful. Right.
So what we'd like people to do so Emil can hear you is please go up to the mic and let's make sure it's actually on and we're getting a level. And then you can queue up and we'll do the Q&A. And also please introduce yourself.
Of course. Lee Howard. Good on sound. Lee Howard. Must have a quad A record.
Must have, sorry?
Must have IPv6 support.
Well, well, okay, it actually does. The only reason why you cannot connect an IPv6 currently is because the virtual machine that we are using in this case, it is provided by a data center of DigitalOcean that does not have IPv6 connectivity. Every single component here, the Chrome browser, the Jitsi Video Bridge, the Nginx web server, everything is capable of using IPv6 as soon as it is available. So really, this is just a matter of administration rather than any additional development required. But we
have a volunteer to help get IPv6 running via tunnel or something?
Well, if it's a problem with the hosting company, then we probably ought to fix it with the hosting company. Right?
Well, you could also bring up a tunnel from the VM to somewhere, but.
Right, and we could potentially explore the possibility of basically moving the virtual machine to another data center, because DigitalOcean does have IPv6 support in some of its data centers, but we'd have to make sure that we redirect the domain to a new virtual machine, and we can do that. If this is the only thing that's preventing you of using it, we can make it happen, no problem.
Okay.
Bert Wijnen, Stonenet co-chair. So the thing that we currently have, when we ask for a hum in our meetings, then we tend to count, agreement or disagreement on the Jabber rooms, which is more like hand raising. Do you have something for humming?
So there's currently no automated way to do that. I guess what we'd like to see is what we found in the past, because we've been working on those sort of tools for quite a while, and what we found is that every time we try to come up with an official procedural way of replicating a real-life procedure, it always ends up being suboptimal from a usability perspective. And that when people just try to reproduce that experience themselves with whatever utilities they have, it just works out better. So I've noticed, for example, that people in the Jabber rooms are +1ing in text messages much more often than using the poll option, for example, or hand raising. We actually, you know what? We have hand raising implemented. So that was the joke.
Polling, but the idea was at IETF meetings that we do hums instead of just that people have to raise their hands, because then it looks much more like voting. And I believe, I've been at the IETF for a while, I believe we don't do voting, right?
Oh, and that's actually a good point. That's something that preserving the anonymity of a hum is indeed something that that would be worth some thought. Indeed, that's a very interesting problem. Thanks for raising that.
Bill Sterling, I'm the co-chair. The audio, at least as presented here, doesn't seem particularly optimal. It doesn't appear to me to be HD quality audio. There can certainly be a number of things going on to grade the audio, but it'd be interesting to hear what it should sound. It just doesn't sound like high quality audio to me. There could be room issues as well.
Bernard, could I please ask you to repeat the question, because that one wasn't coming too clear?
Yeah. Yeah, the question was about the quality of the audio, and I guess some of the issues encountered there. I guess it's using Opus with FEC.
Yes, I believe Chrome now has FEC enabled with Opus. In general, the audio quality is really really outstanding. Now, if that wasn't the case this time, I'm very sorry to hear that. The only reason I didn't hear the question was because it was I'm hearing it through the room system, not directly. It is not being directly fed into the conference. In general, there's Opus has support for packet loss concealment, FEC, and Chrome does a very good job at prioritizing audio. So we have found out that in even more very challenging environments, audio quality is just perfect. So again, if that wasn't the case here, that's really a rare exception.
Okay, yeah, I'd be interested in hearing more about another
Can
question.
I just comment on that, Mark Carpenter? You know, we've got to be fair to them. The audio setup here consists of a speaker, an air link, and a microphone. And I think the quality has to be viewed in that light. I mean, we did not have time to do a proper AV setup.
I agree with you. It's just that if you want feedback, and it'd be good to hear what it sounds like in an optimal party situation. That's all right.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can just try it out for any of your working groups, just for design teams, and see what you think. It's just just type in your working group URI and away you go.
Juan Carlos Zúñiga. Thank you, looks pretty good. But I have some questions. I've been trying it on my machine. I cannot see the slides, and I see the participants count different on what I see being projected and what I have on my screen. I see 27 in the projection. I see 16 here, and I don't know if the list is the same or if there's an overlap, but it's been varying. Sometimes it's 10 number difference. Is there a reason why first I cannot see the slides on my PC, and second why the participant list is different?
Just to make sure that I've heard the question, because that was really very weak. So is the question that you have joined the conference and you were not able to see the slides and you were wondering why?
Yeah, two questions. That is the first question. And the second question is the participants number is different.
Yeah. So just so you see, Emil, on the Mac here, we're seeing 27 participants, and on my machine, and I think I've got you in it, you're seeing 9. Is that right?
I see 16.
You see 16. Okay.
Yeah, because that's a bug, and that's one of the features that we need to stabilize for large meetings before that we hope to do by the end of December. But this is likely just a user interface glitch. As for the slides, this is something that we'd have a look into. Something we've noticed is exactly that in certain occasions, certain video streams would just go dark and then not come back up again. So this is on our issue list. And we're looking at it.
Yeah. So is it fair to say, because I think the first 30 user conference was about a couple of weeks back, Emil. So this is exactly the kind of larger groups that may cause some issues.
It is perfectly fair to say that I actually am already copying the JavaScript console here, and we would be investigating the logs after the meeting. So this is exactly the kind of large scale scenarios that we'd like to run and test in order to make sure these situations and these glitches do not happen.
Hi, this is Suresh Krishnan. Hi, Emil.
Hi, Suresh.
It's pretty good. Like I like this stuff, but there's like a couple of things. One of them is like feature request, and it's for a mic line, right? Like so, if you want to do like queue up people for like getting the chance to speak, it would be nice if you have something like a mic line.
Yeah, that is indeed one of those things. I agree with you, and we actually keep thinking about it every now and then. A mic line is something tricky in it, especially if you have large meetings, and it's tricky to just handle that with an ad hoc mechanism. I agree. So it is probably something that, especially if other people find that interesting as well, it is probably something that we can look at relatively early in the process, because it won't really be that complicated to implement. And yeah, we think we can handle that. Maybe early 2015, January, February.
And the second thing is a bug. Like I actually tried this on Android. So the conference doesn't seem to be crossing leaves. So like I have like multiple instances every time I go in with my name on it. So That's just a bug.
I heard that it's a bug on Android, and then I didn't hear the rest.
I have multiple instances of me, so every time I leave the browser and get back there, it adds me as a new instance, as a new participant.
Yeah, so people who leave aren't being aged out.
Yes, actually, they are being aged out in a minute. So it takes a minute for your instance to disappear from the room. I actually am seeing some people dabble here for more than a minute. So yes, there's another issue here that we'll be looking at for through the logs. Jonathan.
Hey, Jonathan. So you said you're using a Jabber backend for the conferencing. Does that mean you have some mock extensions for the video parts? And if so, is that a new extension, or are you trying to document it?
Yeah, it's no, there are no mock extensions. Essentially, the thing that does the signaling is just one of the participants, and currently it actually is one of the participants, and from the next week it would be a bot in the room, but it won't be a mock extension. It's just a system participant.
So I didn't really properly, maybe I missed something, maybe I was asleep at the wrong time, but I'm a bit worried about the security sort of side of this. Not from a sort of, from a point of view that if I set up a meeting and I advance it, and I announce it, is there anything to stop some idiot sort of camping on it and stopping my well-announced working group meeting actually happening when it's supposed to happen?
So you currently can enter a PIN code in the room and make sure that the people that you want to join have the PIN code and no one else does. There's given that we don't require user accounts, there's currently no way to prevent a specific person from joining. But I'd say that this is a problem that we'd like to have before we set out to resolve it, because this is actually a question that comes. We thought about that very early in the process, and we thought we really should be able to have ways of limiting entry in the rooms. But you know what? We've never actually had that problem so far. In maybe hundreds of meetings that we've had, certainly tens of them public and publicly available, we've never actually had a single person that would just be an idiot and be disruptive. So I'm not saying that it wouldn't happen, but we'd maybe like to learn a little bit more about when it happens, how it happens, and have a solution that doesn't just blow up the entire ad hoc easiness of this thing and require user accounts for everyone. So does that make sense? Yeah, basically we'd like to know exactly what problem you're addressing before we start addressing it.
But so Emil, you did talk about the authentication for the working group chair, and I guess the ability to kick people out.
Right, I just want to make sure that you're the working group chair, you get to be the working group chair, or the meeting, you get the stuff.
Yeah. So is that the authentication feature, Emil?
Yes, that's the authentication feature that will come in early 2015.
Yeah, and so if Stuart is the working group chair, he then gets to kick people out, right?
Yes.
Disruptive people or mute them, right?
Yes.
That's fine. As long as we can make sure we have a plan that the working group chair can be or one of the working group chairs can get that staff in order to.
Yes. Yes, we do have a plan for that.
Thank you.
So is there anything else you'd want to do to those people, like electronically shock them, or? Okay.
Well, if there aren't any other questions, then I guess we could leave it at that. Again, just drop me an email. Actually, you have the jitsi.org domain there, so just emil@jitsi.org. Just drop me an email in case you're interested in having a virtual interim and trying Jitsi with this. We'd be grateful for that, and we'd be happy to work with you.
Or you can just start using it for your design teams or anything else relating to the IETF.
Or that, indeed, because again, there's no organization necessary, there's no reservations necessary, and you just go and use it.
You're not getting away that easy. 2 more people at the march.
So one just follow-up question. Can you hand the star over to someone, so if someone gets there first at the moment?
You would be able to do that once we have the authentication feature.
Okay, thank you.
So this is Robert Sparks. For the people who have been participating in the experiments with Jitsi to date, what has the overall experience been on ad hoc joins from different platforms with respect to echo cancellation? How many people are having to cram on headphones?
So when you say the people that are participating in the experiment today, do you mean today, or up to this point, like in this meeting, or because there are like 30 participants in the room?
Say in the test of 30 people, like how many have to wear headphones, I guess is Robert's question.
And you've had calls while you were leading up to this. I'm just curious how those have gone.
It's generally when we do that, people would often join. I would say that half the time people would join without headphones. Chrome currently has echo cancellation that is working quite well, but it's not perfect. And basically, sometimes people just organizers and other participants ask those that are sending feedback back into the room to just mute themselves. We've never needed so far to actually take special organizational steps to make sure that everyone comes in with a headset. So it is a problem, but it's not a horrific problem, I would say.
Just a question, is there anyone here from the NomCom who's dialed in with a PSTN, if they can comment on the echo cancellation? Okay, because I guess that would be probably more likely in the PSTN scenario, maybe issues, but nobody here in the room.